So after my first run in the Novablast version 3, I was blown away with how lightweight, responsive and versatile the shoe felt. Really excited, so much so that I knew I had to test this shoe out in a little bit of a different range in terms of paces, in terms of speed, inject a little bit of something in there and see how the shoe responds. So I'm excited today to share with you guys my findings. What is up guys, Andy Forrestine Runner here, back with another video, and today we're talking all about the Novablast 3 after its speed test. So the shoe I thought couldn't get any better has had the update of its life. We're lighter, we're more responsive, and we are super exciting. And today what I want to do with this video is hopefully answer some questions that you guys might have in and around the Novablast version 3. I'm going to be sharing my thoughts with you as to how it went on the speed test, give you a quick recap on how it did on the long run, and then actually at the end give you a little bit of a comparison with the Brooks Hyperion Tempo, which as you guys know is my beloved speed day shoe that I use without a carbon plate in it. How does it stack up to that, and will it be its replacement in my rotation? If you're excited for today's video guys, please give this video a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and we'll break down the speed test and how it did. So the speed test in this shoe was an exciting one. The next step that I wanted to originally take with the Novablast version 3 was to test it out on a moderate run. However, I didn't have any of those penciled into my training this week, and the next best thing was going to be to replace the Brooks Hyperion Tempo, where I've been using it so much, and that was going to be for my morning workout on my double threshold day. Now normally what happens there is I'm doing something in and around 5 by 6 minutes or 3 by 10 minutes. In the case of the Novablast version 3, it indeed ended up being 3 by 10 minutes. I took it out on the industrial estate and I just wanted to see how it did. Now the Brooks Hyperion Tempo we'll talk about at the end of this video is a shoe that I use that's non-plated, and it's my favorite lightweight trainer that I go out there and get the work done in the morning, so that in the evening if I feel like I need a little bit more boost, a little bit of help, I reach for maybe a super shoe or something with a plate in it to give me a little bit of a boost. That's just a mental thing and something I enjoy doing. So replacing it with the Novablast was going to be a really good test, because this pace and the range that I was going to be hitting was faster than marathon pace, creeping down towards half marathon pace. Now this was going to be a real test for the Novablast version 3. I knew it was going to excel on moderate paces, and I know it will, even though I haven't got there yet. But to go that fast, I said it in my first impressions video, I reckon this thing can handle marathon pace, was going to be a really good test, because we're going above and beyond that and seeing how it did. And in terms of the results, I have to say I was blown away with how they felt. Now in terms of the Brooks, no, we'll save that for the end. That's for the comparison. In terms of how this shoe did, it was absolutely phenomenal. It started off a little bit rusty. I took a while to get into it, bit of fatigue during marathon training, and I split a 5:54 per mile for 10 minutes, which is slightly on the slower side of the spectrum to what I would normally split, but still a really good pace. Not the slowest I've ever hit, and I kind of felt at the time, I wonder if there's a bit of a GPS issue here, because I really do feel like I'm working harder than 5:54 pace. Moving into the next rep, I ended up splitting 5:49, which is way more like what I normally split. That is the standard in and around 5:45 to 5:50. In that bracket is where I like to sit. That feels good. And then in the last one, I split 5:43. I felt like I was moving into the zone, really feeling good, really moving well. And after that 5:43, I just thought to myself, I think I just needed to warm up this morning, because those last two reps were absolute fire. And I've got to say that Novablast moved like the wind, and I was over the moon. And I have to say it delivered way more than I expected, especially at those pace ranges. Then looking at the data once I was done, an average heart rate of 153 for the workout blew my mind. Just before I give my quick comparison to the Tempo, and then of course to the overall thoughts around the Novablast and its pace ranges and where it can go to, I just want to give a very quick recap to the long run. If you missed the first impressions video and you've dropped in on this one, let me give you a very quick rundown. I got these shoes out of the box, I took them for 2 hours 40 minutes and they were absolutely fantastic. I put my trust in the Novablast and they repaid me in abundance. Now with that run, I was a little bit fatigued towards the end of marathon training. The run itself itself didn't go particularly well, but the shoes in themselves were just absolutely brilliant. Hence why I needed to do a speed test to do it justice. But to be time on feet for 2 hours 10 minutes, no blisters, no hot spots, nothing at all. It was absolutely fantastic, and I knew at that point that this shoe was going to be something special. So I just want to throw this comparison out there for you, because I feel like if you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll know my love for the Brooks Hyperion Tempo. It's a shoe that, in fact, in the last 3 years, it's the only shoe that I've bought twice. I've got 350 odd miles on the first pair. I'm at pretty much at the same mileage this pair. Going to see them out to the end of this training block. They've been immense, and they're my favourite non-plated speedy a day shoe. Come in at under 300 grams, lightweight. Love the DNA Flash midsole in those shoes. They're great, and I am looking for a replacement for them, as I said, because they are coming to the end of their life. So that's where the Novablast stepped in. It was kind of like looking at my schedule going, I haven't got a moderate run to test these on. What's the next level that I can do? Well, I've done my marathon pace test for the week, so let's chuck them in at the deep end and see how they do on a slightly faster workout. So 30 minutes worth of work done at below marathon, faster than marathon pace, working towards goal half marathon pace, and feeling great and feeling efficient and economical at the same time. And that heart rate, 153 overall, for that morning workout is just absurd, and it's one of the lowest heart rates I've had. So straight away you can see efficiency is the name of the game with this shoe. You can move fast, you move light, you feel like you're stepping off a curb, you get good momentum with the shoe. It's not a sink and bounce sensation. It's much more of a propulsion forward sensation. It's everything I could want in that shoe. And suddenly, as I said, this scope of this trainer being a easy and daily and moderate trainer, recovery I should say, daily miles moderate, has suddenly gone to that where it can encompass marathon pace and even faster. I'm not necessarily sure it's going to be a great interval pace shoe. I'm sure it will do great, but I have others in my arsenal that will do better, but it's suddenly got a much wider scope. As for the Brooks Hyperion Tempo, it fits into that same scope. I can do easy runs in the Tempo all the way up to interval workouts in the Tempo, and I think that's where the Novablast 3 probably just falls short. It's probably not something I'm going to test at interval pace. I might at some point, but it's not something that I can envisage being quite as nimble and light as the Tempo. But it covers 80-90% of the same area of the Tempo. Now, albeit it's probably, I think off the top of my head, around 20 grams heavier in my size, but it still feels super light and super poppy. And in terms of a replacement for the Tempo, I don't think it quite matches up to how I think versatile the Tempo can be. Not quite, nearly, but not quite. But it's certainly for me going to be the next replacement for that shoe. So in terms of my overall conclusions for the Novablast version 3, I've got to say there's no other shoe right now that I can recommend highly enough other than this. There's one thing I want to highlight you to this shoe, and that is just beware of the grip. I do feel the grip is slightly less good than in previous versions. I've run on wet roads, which is what I just did my session in, and to be honest with you, I didn't notice any slip sliding, and I certainly cornered still okay as I normally would. But I noticed when I was walking around, just gently sort of sliding the shoe along the ground, it felt a lot slicker and a little bit less traction than the previous 2 versions. I wonder if that's because the outsole rubber looks thinner. Obviously, they've saved a lot of weight, so I think one of the areas they've saved some on is that rubber. And I think it has just made it a little bit slicker. Beware. I liken it to the Speeds. The Speed 2s, I found it in those 2 shoes. Grip was never great in those shoes, but it never put me off running in them. Same with this. It's literally the only downside to this shoe. I mean, I'd give it a 10 out of 10 if it wasn't for the grip, put it that way. So this shoe has had an update that I didn't expect, and as I said, suddenly it's gone from a shoe covering this much running to this much running. So if you're looking for a shoe that can do it all, that can cover all bases, even to the point where I had a couple of questions about people saying, would you run a marathon in it if you're looking for a non-plated shoe? Yes, I would definitely use this, or the Brooks Hyperion Tempo would probably be my top 2. Speeds, if you count the nylon plate or not, I'd use the Speeds as well, but these Novablast, yeah, don't see why not. Super bouncy, super cushioned, super lightweight. They get you from start to finish in one piece. There's nothing else I can say about it other than this is an incredible update, and I really appreciate asics not messing this up. This is fantastic. So those are my thoughts on the Novablast version 3 after the speed test. a quick recap there of the long run and then the comparison to the Hyperion Tempo. No more videos now until the 100-mile update. This thing has basically sold me, it's won me over, and I can't shout enough good things about it. And I was really pleased to read all the positive comments on the previous video about the shoe. You guys seem to love it too, so make sure if you get a chance to add it to your shopping cart. No agenda here, I'm not trying to sell you anything, no affiliate links. Well, there is in the description, but that's not for this shoe. Just check it out if you get a chance. It is mind-blowingly good. We'll leave it there. I could rabbit on and on. We'll leave it there. Appreciate you guys tuning in for this one. If you enjoyed the video and the Novablast 3 update, please do give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Until then.